I am Sacheverell, and welcome to MINECON. This is the Developing Modders panel where we'll be talking to all kinds of modders about the sort of things they do, mostly modding. To my left is Pahimar, and we're going to start with introductions. They're going to tell you who they are, what they do, and from there we will open up questions. While they're introducing themselves, there are also 2 microphones in the back. Look for a red shirt if you need to find them. If you want to go ahead and ask any of the modders any questions, you'll need to go ahead and start forming a line right now. And once we're done with the introductions, we can start with the questions, and it'll be awesome. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Pahimar. I do the equivalent exchange mod, as well as I'm the owner and the admin for the ForgeCraft server.
Hello, I am LexManos. I write the modding API Minecraft Forge.
Hi, I'm CBW. I do FML and various other small mods, including Forge stuff sometimes.
Hi, I'm DanTwoHundred. I made Computercraft, Billund, and QCraft.
Hello everyone, I'm Direwolf20. I do a YouTube channel all about Minecraft mods.
Hi, I'm Benimatic. I write the Twilight Forest mod. That's about the only one. Thank you.
Hello. Hey, this one works. Hi, I'm Austin Smith, otherwise known as LaserTester, and I'm the lead developer for the Shabo Network. Represent. Now, making a lot of server-side mods and plugins. So.
Hi, I'm Kainzo. I'm a director for the HeroCraft coding team, and we do HeroCraft Online, and we do plugins such as Heroes, HeroChat, and Vault.
All right, while you guys are getting lined up, we're going to go ahead and get some questions out of the way. Most of the common questions that I'm sure everybody in this room wanted to ask. And all the modders and Direwolf will be answering this, of course. We're going to start with, how did you get into mods or modding?
I originally got into modding after hanging out with a couple other developers in some IRC channels, particularly Xenophobe, who is the original creator of Equivalent Exchange. We talked shop an awful lot, and I gave him some tips, and next thing I know, I'm writing the mod. So
I found about Minecraft from my friends, got playing with them, and they all quit playing because they got bored, and I wanted to make it better, so I started writing stuff.
I got into modding because of those 2 girls over there.
Yeah, when I first played like a Minecraft, I did what most Minecraft players do, which is I started thinking of ideas, things that would improve the game. And as a programmer, and thanks to the work of people like Sarge, who makes MCP, and these guys who make Forge, I was able to start implementing some of those ideas, and eventually that led to me making Computercraft.
All right, well I'm a little bit different because I don't actually write mods, but I got into playing mods early on with one of the 2 earliest mods out there, IndustrialCraft and BuildCraft. And once I found those mods out there, I kind of said, like, these things are really neat and cool, and I'd like other people to be able to find them. So I kind of started making videos to show people how they work and how to use them, and then it kind of just went on from there.
I had been playing Minecraft for a while without doing any mods, but I played one of the first very early versions of the, I think it was the Aether or Ether mod, and it really inspired me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And that night, I sat down and started writing the first versions of the Twilight Forest.
And then I got Minecraft early in alpha and just played it for years and years without ever installing any mods. And then I played on some servers that had some custom programming on them, and I was like, how did they do this? And then I started looking into it and have been working as a software engineer and started writing mods, or server-side plugins, but yeah.
Back in HMod, if any of you guys remember that, I saw a lot of plugins and people were really active, and so since I ran a server, it was more out of necessity of wanting to create unique things such as RPG plugins and so forth. So I wanted to be different.
All right, it looks like we've already got a pretty sizable queue for questions here. We're going to go ahead and start with the first young man right there in the blue teal shirt.
Have you ever made a mistake and then it turns out to be something really cool?
It didn't end up being something cool, but it gave me a different idea for something else I wanted later. So not quite, but yes.
Well, I was working on the rendering engine and I accidentally switched 2 lines of code and basically made the entire world a techno dance. So I had fun with that for the night.
I've made many mistakes, but sadly none of them have been useful.
When I did the first version of Computercraft, I accidentally enabled a feature that let the Computercraft programs break out of their sandbox and connect to the internet. And people started using that to make really awesome things, so I turned that into an official feature, and some of the coolest things with Computercraft use that now.
Every single video I make.
Yeah, a lot of the things I do are procedurally generated structures and something, and a lot of them are kind of over the top. So, you know, I'll develop like a first version, and then I'll say, well, what happens if I let it get a little out of control? What happens if it gets a little bigger? And I sort of go wild with that. I'm like, okay, now even bigger. So yeah.
I always tell my players they're not mistakes, they're features.
We do the same thing. We might shoot a wither skull out of a fireball instead, and we're like, wait a minute, this is pretty cool. So,
Mistakes. Yes, sir.
Yes, this a little bit of a technical question. What language are you guys writing your code in? And also, are there some available, library utilities that you kind of use, standard utilities?
I believe for most of us, we're probably writing in Java. Recently, we've also had the ability to write in a language called Scala, or Scala. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And we actually do end up having a lot of utility libraries come with Minecraft itself now, as well as Forge offers some extra ones as well.
I think Java's pretty much it.
All right, then. Right, let's start on this microphone right over here. Young man in the green shirt.
I had a question for Pahimar. I've seen you, I had a question about EE3. I've seen lots of bugs, features added, and I want to know what you had in store.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
I want to know, what ideas do you have for EE3?
So for EE3, what I really want to add is I want a mod that will work well with a lot of other mods, and I want to have some really cool combat later on. I think there's a lot of fun magic combat that we could probably add to the game. So that's what I'd like to add.
Okay, thank you.
Personally, I want to add bacon. All right, let's start with the next young man right there in the dark shirt.
All right, so I've downloaded many mods on a website that ended up connecting with Forge. But eventually, what happened, I downloaded so many mods that Forge is no longer working with my Minecraft. Is there any way to fix that?
Stack traces. Typically, it's a configuration issue, or you downloaded the wrong Minecraft or mod for the wrong Minecraft version. Permgen. Basically, hop on our forums, stick your stack trace up there. It's a log file in your mods or Minecraft folder, and we'll help you out.
And what website is that?
MinecraftForge.net.
There you go.
Yay, mods. All right, you.
All right, this is directed to anybody that knows LRM in any way. Do you think she will ever continue Red Power 2 or possibly develop Red Power 3?
I'll take this one. Top secret. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
I see. All right. Thank you.
All right, and this gentleman over here.
Which vanilla Minecraft update was the hardest to update to, and what do you think characterizes why an update would be hard to move to?
The one that's just come out is by far the hardest one we've ever had to deal with. It's going to beat 1.3 into the ground, which was the previous hardest. 1.7 is massive. The amount of code that has changed in 1.7 is vast, which means that Serge, Lex, and myself are going to take a very long time to reverse engineer from the obfuscation to something that's going to be usable for mods. That's pretty much why it takes a very long time.
Honestly, I don't envy the amount of work that they have to put into fixing mods, but I love what they produce in the end. I think there's so much love that goes into the mods that, you know, and you can find anything you want. You can make the game into anything you want with the mods that you find. And, you know, I think we owe them a lot for that. Okay, let's see. Next question, you.
How do you feel about the development of Project Red, and do you think it'll ever appear on ForgeCraft?
Honestly, myself, I haven't looked too much into it, but it is on my to-do list to investigate it more and to talk to Chicken Bones, who's the developer of... it's Chicken Bones who did Project Red, right?
One of them.
One of them, yes.
There's another one as well.
And I just would like to have a look at it before I go and add it to the server.
Is that your phone, sir? Okay. All right, you over there.
How do you come up with most of your mod ideas?
I usually think, how can I kill my players in the most violent way possible while they still have fun?
For the Twilight Forest, maybe it's not very surprising that, you know, like long walks in the woods are sort of like a large thinking ground for me, just sort of wandering around, thinking what would be cool. I have sort of a plan. I keep sort of a master plan together of things that I plan to work on, any cool ideas I've ever had, and sort of slowly progress through that.
People tend to just keep suggesting features, and my instinct is normally to say no to all of them, but sometimes they'll plant themselves in my mind, and after a while I'll think about them and think, yeah, that would be quite nice, and I'll go ahead and implement them.
All right, let's go to the young man over here in the dark shirts.
What is the weirdest / funniest mod you have ever seen?
Weirdest or funniest mod you've ever seen?
I can definitely chime in on the Nyan Pig mod by iTunes, where you can ride a flying pig that shoots rainbows behind him. Trail Mix. It's actually called Trail Mix.
I'll add to that one, probably any mod by iChun is
probably... that's what I was going to say. Yeah. He's a mad genius.
He is.
All right, and you, sir?
This is for the guy with Shoppo. What challenges are with developing stuff for like MineZ and MineZ guns?
There's a lot of challenges. One of them is that, you know, MineZ is about 1.5 years old now, and now it's grown into, I think we have 2 million players who have played it, and it's trying to manage. There's everything that I do affects every player who's already played it and like their current progress. And I mean, imagine if I released an update and that just like wiped out everybody's progress. Yeah, that would be not fun. So that's a big one for that. And then as far as like the MineZ guns is dealing with the old code, mixing it with new code, and resisting the temptation to completely rewrite it.
All right, next up is the gentleman in the dark shirt right there.
This is directed towards general modders. I remember Direwolf talking a while ago about having a system where you can make essentially a save of your world and return to it in-game. How feasible would that possibly be?
I think I remember that. That was the time travel mod, right? Where I could go back in time.
Rolling back the world is not easy.
But aren't there mods that like do it, at least in single player?
They can do it in single player, but once you start getting into the server world, it becomes incredibly hard to maintain a coherent state across lots of things. If you've ever seen red power frames from LRM, there's an example of where stuff can go really, really badly wrong if you're not careful. There's a very large amount of thought I've put into trying to do this. It might happen eventually.
All right, and you.
What's the easiest part about making a mod?
Nothing?
The easiest part is like thinking up the names, because you just take a noun and add the word craft on the end.
That's a good answer.
All right, you, sir.
Pretty much following of what that lady said, what is harder, other world mods like the Twilight Forest or mob bosses, or developing a new weapon?
Well, I mean, thanks to Lex's efforts on Forge, other world mods are fairly easy. He's made it very simple to set up new dimensions and other things like that. Bosses can be tough. You know, like it's actually surprisingly hard designing them. Coding them is usually just like sort of straightforward. I want it to do this, so I tell it to do this. But, you know, designing them so they're a fun challenge to the player and not overwhelmingly difficult or, you know, just a pushover is really sort of the harder part of it.
Awesome. You there.
What was the hardest mod you ever had to make?
Yes, okay, we've heard a couple of people say it up here. The first one is definitely the hardest because you're often learning while you're doing it, and you'll write something the first time, you'll come back to it a couple months later, and you've realized how much you've learned in that time.
I would just say that maintaining Forge and FML, I think, is the hardest mod I've had to work on.
All right, you in the hats.
Oh. Do you think that Minecraft is the easiest Java game to mod in?
It is the only Java game that you can mod. I don't know that there is another Java game out there that is anywhere near as popular. But Java definitely helped. I think if it was written in any other language, there would not be a modding community that there is.
All right, and next over here.
What modding program would you recommend for new modders?
Like an IDE? Like the actual programming program?
Well, you can get like I use IntelliJ IDEA to write my code, and what's cool about it is it like writes your code for you. Yeah, like basically all you've got to do is kind of sit there and you start typing. Okay, it doesn't really write your code for you, but it kind of like auto completes, and you know if I start typing PL, it'll like auto complete the player, and then you know whatever. But I'm sure you guys probably use a plethora of different tools and utilities and things. But yeah, just I don't know. Find a Java tutorial?
Yeah, we use, I'm using Eclipse. I think Lex uses Eclipse, but others use other tools.
Awesome. You there.
What do I do to fix my... What do I... My God. What do I do to fix my map? I was using red power frames in an elevator, and I kind of died in it, and now I can't use my map anymore. I died using red power frames.
I would say probably restore from backup.
Okay.
All right, and you there.
How did the modding community kind of form, I guess, and how do you find I guess this part is more directed to Direwolf, and how do you find new mods to play and use?
Well, I find new mods to play and use mostly by looking at the Minecraft forums and also through word of mouth. Lots of people now will send me messages and say, hey, look at this new mod you have to check out. One of them, for example, that I haven't gotten to yet, Ender.io. Everybody keeps telling me I have to check that mod out, so that sounds pretty cool. That's pretty much how I check out new ones nowadays. And as for the modding community, I think most of us kind of just got together as we were communicating on IRC and getting to know each other, playing together with the mods. Pahimar can probably touch on that a little bit better.
I just want to add on a personal note that it blows my mind how fast word of mouth spreads for mods. It's incredible. You, sir.
What was the hardest single entity, block, or item you ever coded? And will there be condensers in EE3? Because we really need those.
You're on the spot, Pahimar.
Pahimar, would you like me to take that last question for you?
The hardest block is like a turtle, because it's like the entire mod in one block.
And you'll get something similar.
All right, and you.
Yes, I'd like to know about your process for making a mod, both design and programming.
Well, usually before you plan anything, you want a design document so that you actually have a concrete look of what you want. And it will probably be a living document, but the first step is to actually have a design document. And then you can actually, if you have multiple staff or helpers, they can take where they want, and then they just kind of continue. But I'm sure everyone else has a different view.
Mine usually starts, we're sitting in our staff mumble channel for adminning our server, and one of the players in chat will say, hey, you guys should do this, and then one of the admins will be like, oh, that'd be so funny if we added it, and then I'm like, no, that's impossible, and then it all goes quiet for a couple of hours, and then I come back and say, hey, I need you guys to test something.
Like I said earlier, I keep notebooks filled with ideas for monsters or new blocks or new other things to add. And, I'll sort of sift through them from time to time and say, oh, well, that looks possible, or no, I don't think I can really even manage to do that yet. So I'll pick one and I'll just start coding and see how it develops.
I tend to think about the kind of things that I would currently like to build with the mod and can't at the moment, and try and think of the smallest features that I could add that will enable the new things to be built and hopefully enable lots of new things. It's all about multiplying the possibilities, because when you're making a sandbox creative game like Minecraft, I think.
Adding all the things. All right, you there.
Two things. Direwolf, why do you not have a Minecraft skin?
Because I play with so many mods, I want people to know I'm actually playing Minecraft still. Also, it's kind of just become my thing. I always played single player for a while, and I never needed a skin. And then when I got into multiplayer, everybody kind of knew that I had a Steve skin, so I feel like it would be kind of a betrayal now to actually get one.
And the second thing, will there ever be a public version of ForgeCraft?
Not exactly, but the FTB mod pack 164 will have all the mods that are on ForgeCraft right now, just their public release ones.
There is a ForgeCraft 3 mod pack out there, and I'd
Yes.
like to see if we can do one for ForgeCraft 2 as well, which is the last one that's got a ton of mods on it. So we will be trying for that.
Excellent. You, sir.
Have you ever made a redstone invention including command blocks?
I actually have not, no. I haven't really gotten into command blocks much, but it's something I would like to check out at some point. What we need is a mod that adds them to survival, and then I'd be all about it.
No, when I first heard about command blocks, the first thing I did was made a button that when you press it, it would kill the player, which I'm sure most of you did.
I don't feel so bad. I thought I was the only one. You, sir.
Okay, my first question would be directed at CPW and LexManos. I would just like to ask if either of you have realized how many third-party launchers that you guys are killing with Forge. Such as MC Patcher.
You're killing them.
We actually don't kill MC Patcher. It works quite well. It's also not a launcher. It's a patcher.
True. I mean, they've worked around.
It
your
has a couple of.
stuff.
The way MC Patcher works is it does dynamic injection into the code, and because we don't ship actual modified classes, we ship binary patches. They had to adapt to that. It's just one of the things we like to do to try and respect Mojang's wishes. The vast majority of launchers that we break are ones that don't follow the standard that the Mojang launcher has put into place. As long as it works exactly like the Mojang launcher for actually starting Minecraft, then it should work perfectly fine with Forge.
All right. Sorry, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to add that I did try and reach out to the MC Patcher guy, and he never really responded to me. So I was trying to work with him to try and resolve some of these issues, but he didn't respond. So.
Okay, and my second question would be to all of you. I would just like to ask, how many of you have autism, and if so, has it helped you in your modding career?
That's a
Now,
fairly
don't everyone
personal
speak
thing
up
to
at
ask them.
once.
I think we're going to refuse that question, I think.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I'm afraid we're going to have to pass on that one. Sorry. All right, you, sir.
Sorry, wrong thing. What advice do you have for young people who want to start modding?
Really, I would just, you gotta dive in. If it's something you're interested in, it'll come as more you actually use it. So it's gonna be long hours, and it's gonna be a lot of researching, but there's a lot of guides to get you started.
I would say start small, just download like a Forge and just follow a tutorial or something to get your development environment up and running. That's the hurdle you have to get over. But once you've done that, just pick something really small you'd like to see and try and get that done. And hopefully the initial joy of that once you see something you made in the game will spur you on to do the rest.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask for help. There's lots of people out there who would more than be happy to help you if you have any technical questions or you're looking for how to do something. I myself, I particularly love teaching new people how to mod. So please feel free to ask for help, and we'll be there to help.
I will just say, if you wish to do a Forge mod, I do recommend you start with Pahimar's Let's Mod series.
Well, and I want to stress DanTwoHundred's pick something and get it done. Finish your first project that you pick, because if you start it and you give up halfway through, that can be one of the biggest detriments to your motivation to even do something. But yeah, pick something small and get it done.
All right, you, sir.
What was the hardest thing you've ever encountered while modding?
Well, I know from a bucket perspective, heroes actually had to revert and use their own hit point system. So it took months to actually fix. But it wasn't really, it was something with 1.0 that came out that they brought out boss health, and we had to respect that, and it created a lot of problems. So the changes with the code you have to kind of run with, and so that's probably it.
I would say the Hydra in Twilight Forest is really hard.
For my part, I would say that, it's hardest when you have a great idea and then you just start going into the code and you find out that it's just not going to work. Like that can sometimes just be such a downer when you're like, this would be really great, but there's no way I can get at that code. It's just like locked away. And Lex and CPW have been doing great in resolving those kind of situations.
And then also, what is the relationship between Forge ModLoader and Resolami ModLoader?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
What is the relationship between Resolami's ModLoader and Forge?
Okay, so FML started out as an alternative implementation of ModLoader by Rizugami. And the goal was to create a completely open source implementation that wasn't completely bound by the complexities of his licensing. It also had the benefit of supporting both the server, the client, and originally Bucket as well. And from there, it sort of ballooned and grew. And at this point, I think we are saying goodbye to that part of the code. Rizugami has not updated his code, so I think that at this point we're going to be saying goodbye to him and his support in 1.7. So, but,
All right, you.
2 questions. It's directed to Dan. Do you think there's any possibility of another programming language in computer craft, such as BASIC?
It would be possible. It would be a lot of work, and I don't actually think it would be a good idea because it would split the community in two, and any kind of like getting help or learning the mod would be that much difficult because half the resources that you'd find would be for the other language. And it helps to have a single way through that everyone learns the same stuff.
And my second question, do you think there's a possibility for a programming competition for between you guys and my friend?
A computer craft programming competition, or just
any programming language?
Oh, anything's possible.
I recommend Lisp.
All right, new.
Have any game-changing mods for Minecraft have ever became their own games? Like The Legend of Notch?
sorry, what was the question? Are
Hey,
there any
we
games?
said if any of the mods created eventually became independent games of their own.
I'm not aware of any yet.
Yeah, I don't know that I've heard of any.
There's a few in the pipeline that are sort of evolving in that direction, but I don't think that they want publicity yet. So.
All right, and you, sir.
So if we wanted to start modding, would you just recommend us to just go and start writing code, or would you want us to like do a lot of tutorials, or like what would we do?
YouTube tutorial, follow it closely. Don't depart from anything that you're told. And then at the end, you can look at what you made and be like, wow, that's awesome. And then follow another YouTube tutorial and follow another, and then change little things as you go. And then eventually you start writing your own code and you don't even realize it.
Okay. And also, like, would you recommend to like find a mod that we like and try and recreate it, or like just make something new?
I would probably make something new, right? Yeah, trying to recreate something else can be a little bit frustrating because then you haven't really created much at the end. You end up kind of you either fall short or you end up just kind of duplicating. Or, if you can advance it, that'd be cool.
It's probably also a mod that you would want to recreate is probably a big successful mod that's already had hundreds of hours put into it, and that's a lot to bite off for a first go. So it goes against the idea of starting small, achieve things quickly.
Now, there's an awful lot of open source mods out there as well that are definitely really good resources for when you're looking to learn how to do this as well. Buildcraft is a good example.
All right, your question, sir.
My first question is to ask, what do you guys use for your image editing or texture making?
I myself use GIMP.
Like a GNU image manipulation program.
That would be the one.
Yeah, I like GIMP too.
Yes, same here.
MS Paint.
Over 10,000 hours.
my second question is, for the Forge developers, do you maybe see yourself making a mod installer or a website where you can just click install and it'll install the mod to make it more easier for people who have trouble?
But it's just, at the moment, to install a mod is you put a file in a folder. It's like you drag it from one side of the screen to the other. It's hard to think how that could be simplified.
Well, in 1.7, we're trying to promote modders to design their mods and release them in a standard format. Right now it's, oh, I put this on MediaFire, go shove it in a folder, which is easy to use but hard to create those installer websites and hard to list them all in a single place. I'm speaking with the FTB team and other mod pack creators and launchers and other systems like that to try and promote a standard for modders to follow so that we can eventually do something similar to that.
Okay.
Excellent. Next question.
What is the best mod you have ever played and the worst mod?
That's not a dangerous question at all.
That's a hard question. That's a hard question. Probably my favorite mod was Equivalent Exchange 2.
That was going to be my answer. That's actually the mod that got me into this, so it's going to be hard for me to say that wasn't the best mod.
He was just crazy. The worst mod, I don't know. I was trying to play the Adventure Time mod, and it's not much fun at the moment. They need to fix that.
My favorite mod will always and forever be the Portal Gun mod.
I always have trouble picking what my favorite mod is because it changes every week. Because I'll be excited about one mod and I'll be excited about another one, and then I don't know. There's just so many of them out there. It's hard to pick a favorite for me.
I've had a lot of fun with mods like Thaumcraft, which is in, like 3 now, as well as ones like Better Than Wolves or, other sort of mods that change the mechanics of the game I like.
I love all my children the same.
I really like the mod pack for Hexit. I don't know if you guys heard of it. That was nice.
All right, your question, sir.
Hi, I have a question about equivalent exchange. I understand getting rid of the condensers because they were overpowered, but why get rid of dark matter and red matter?
Well, dark matter was never going to go away, but recently I've decided I'm going to add, so we have dark matter and red matter, I'm going to add another 5. So that's coming in at a later update, so.
Will there be blue matter and green matter? And
Oh, yeah. All right, we've got time for just one more question. You, sir.
What is the difference between modding a Forge single-player mod and modding a Forge multiplayer mod?
There really shouldn't be any difference at all. I know that there are some mods that are pretty much exclusively client-side, like mini-map mods, but otherwise mods should be the same for both single and multiplayer these days. That was one of the goals of the 1.3 conversions.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up because we are out of time. Thanks, everybody, for coming to the modding panel. Be sure to enjoy the rest of your stay at MINECON. By the way, there will be a meet and greet for the modders if you want to see them later today at 5 p.m. The location will be announced later on, so be sure to keep an ear out for that. And have a good day.